Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us over on the Land of Silver Silk, the YouTube channel and Facebook place as well. It's just happy to be here. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to have you guys here. And I've got a fantastic project lined up for you for this evening. It's evening where I am. It might be another time of the day where you are, but I hope it is beautiful wherever you are. The project today is going to be super simple. We're just going to do something that feels good with flat mesh. It's an easy, quick stringing project. Brings me so much joy. We get to introduce so much color to this design. And the technique is so easy to put together too. So it's a lot of easy, it's a lot of color, and to me it's like the perfect combo. And our special friend Danielle Wicks came up with the project and the genius construction methods behind it. So big shout out to her as well. And I wanted to let you guys know that or actually ask a favor from you guys. If you enjoy the channel, enjoy the tutorials that you watch, please give this video a big thumbs up and leave a comment of how much you enjoy it. All of those things let YouTube know that this channel, this thing that we do here is important and it keeps us in the ranks and make sure that you keep getting those subscribers and keep telling people what Silver Silk is. Keeps the business going, in other words. So be sure to subscribe to the video. And I guess I'm just eager to get to the tutorial, tell you guys a little bit about the products, and get this fun stuff started. So let me show you real quick what I'm talking about today. In fact, I've got my little overlays somewhere here that I can bring up and show you. Isn't that just absolutely gorge? I love this. And the colors and stuff is so interchangeable, the materials even. And so I'll just kind of take you guys through all that. I'm going to go ahead and skip the tools list. There's a separate video on my YouTube channel that explains what each of those tools are and to what extent that I use them. And so I believe I've put that video in the video description as well, so you guys can just click that link and check it out. But let's talk about the materials because I love this stuff, and that's really the place where I think we just want to get into it, right? All of the fun, touching, feeling, crafting with, and the first is flat mesh. Flat mesh is a metallic ribbon that's made with using 8 latch hook needles. And these latch hook needles are super tiny. They are getting increasingly difficult to see actually for me, but I can still whip up a pretty good flat mesh if I do say so myself. And I've been able to hone my talent on making it. But it comes in over 20 colors. And so you guys can imagine how many different styles, different ideas you can come up with this stuff. But it goes through the machine because it is a machine that uses or that's used to create it. And it's essentially a hollow sock that another apparatus flattens. And it creates this metallic mesh ribbon with this fine knit weaving. For this project, you'll only really need 7 inches of the flat mesh to work with. And I've got a few different colors, and I'm actually curious to expand this technique a little bit further as we get into the video. And in fact, combine 2 different colors. We're going to see if we can pull that off. I've also got a couple of the flat mesh crimps, which look like this, and the lobster claw clasp. This is custom made findings from SilverSilk. They've got my little imprint on it, that nice little emboss. And this is the bright copper color, which is a beautiful, actual like rose gold color. In fact, it's very bright and shiny. It's got a nice warm tone to it that's reddish. The findings in my library of custom findings are custom made to the point to where they have 5 different layers of plating on it, which ensure high quality and tarnish resistance over time. Um, and they are a brass core, which means that they have a lot of strength and are, again, just a high quality metal. We used to have pewter ones, believe it or not, way back in the day. And the person that now makes the findings actually did a test on the pewter ones because they were made in a different country, in fact. And like sent some samples back of like, here's what happens whenever you strip back all of that sort of plating. And the pewter underneath was, well, for the lack of better terms, it was garbage. So clearly I took that stuff off of the custom findings list very quickly whenever I first got the company. And we just focused on the brass core and went full development with all 6 colors of plating. So I'm very proud of these findings. There's nothing else out there that's, gonna match it on the market. It's phenomenal. So I highly recommend that. That's my sales pitch to you. I'm not a salesman, but I do know quality when I see it and feel it and touch it and use it. You'll need some head pins, which I don't think I've got on hand with me, but it's used to make baubles. I've got one in my sample, in fact, which I could show you. So there we go. If you're wanting to make a little bauble, you can grab some head pins and do that. And then we've got some fine or medium-sized beading wire, which I went ahead and pre-strung my design, but I'm just going to show this to you guys. It is soft flex fine beading wire, and fine is perfect for the size fine as it's defined. It's perfect for gemstones. They have really tiny holes. It's because they don't want to take off too much of the gemstone stone. Like redundant with my words today. Because of course, if you take off more stone, the less valuable the stone becomes. And so the holes are tiny and you need a really fine beading wire to get that through. So have some on hand for that. We've also got 1 or 2 millimeter crimps. This is going to be an interesting little pitch here because I haven't used the 1 millimeter in a very long time, to be honest. It is a very tiny crimp. It's practically miniature, and I think it's absolutely cute. I, of course, just defer to my friends at Softflix Company for crimp recommendations on sizing and stuff, but they also just make the best crimps that I have ever used. It's thick-walled, seamless, and tarnish resistant, and to me, that's a pretty killer combo. Now, I will say that the smaller one, the 1 millimeter size, these guys right here, um, might be a better fit for the crimp that we're gonna crimp all this with whenever we stuff and make this happen. But I will say I'm more comfortable using the 2 millimeter crimp because I can actually see where the hole is. And so I'm gonna try it with the 2 millimeter crimp and see and pray and hope that that works. And if it doesn't, then we'll just default to the smaller one. But most of us will have the 2 millimeter crimp on hand, and it'll just be easy to use in the grand scheme of things. You'll also need some gemstone beads and some seed beads, which I've got right here on hand. I just showed you guys that I had pre-strung the design, which I'll get into here shortly. And the star beads, again, were for that dangle, that little bauble that we had. So think about something that you want to embellish your design with and have that set out to the side. So let's get into it, which the first thing is our stringing. And Danielle Wicks came up with this color combination. It is a God-given talent, her ability to put certain materials and colors together, and she has blessed us with this beautiful palette that I went ahead and pre-strung. I will say her example uses size 15 seed beads, and being that she's the seed bead queen, I think she really pushes me to like a level of trying to see what I'm beading, which I just haven't gotten quite there yet. So I used bigger beads and sort of the same color. But I think we both can agree on the fact that the color that we use in between is used to pop out the beads that we're trying to really make our focal point. So the smaller seed bead you have, the bolder the color should be. And as you size up in seed bead, maybe it's like not as the dark bronze color that, I'm using here. But I will say the Delicas in size 11 seed bead worked out pretty well. And they still make those beads pop, and I could see the hole. And it helped to lengthen the bracelet a little bit too. If that's also a concern, you can use less beads and more seed beads in between, or bigger seed beads in between to really expand out your design. And I just clipped it here at the ends with some bead clips. And we will go ahead and get into our flat mesh. So I'm just going to grab a color that I have. I have this beautiful bronze color that I'm using today. In the example, it is using a beautiful amber color. So you guys pick your own journey for what kind of silver silk you want to use. And some of us have some scrap laying around. This is the perfect use for it. As is in the case for me, I just had this bronze color and I definitely wanted to hit that up in my design. So I'm going to start with one end and I'm going to go ahead and grab my crimps. Maybe. I need to like empty out I really should get an organizer for this, but haven't quite hit the button on that yet. But I will. I just need to focus. I need to sit down and focus and make sure I get that done. Alrighty. So the idea here is to thread your silver silk through the first couple knits of the flat mesh. Now, you'll also have these little extra pieces at the end, even before you get into the stringing part, which I'm going to grab a pair of chain nose pliers. It's behind me here. And I'm just going to go ahead and start plucking off any extra little tidbits of wire. It's just going to get in the way of crimping, and I do not want that to affect how easy this is to put together. So go ahead and just clear out all of that. We're going to stitch this right through. Boom. In fact, I'm going to go a slight bit lower. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to push this up real close to the camera that you guys can see exactly where I got into. And I'm going to string on my crimp. Now at this point, I want to make sure that this is all going to fit into a tiny little flat mesh crimp as you see here. It's got to go inside between the teeth and everything. So the best method I think that might work for this is just to flatten the crimp at the very end here. So I'm just going to grab my chain nose pliers and give it a good squishy squish. Very technical terms here. And just make myself a little box at the end. It'll prevent the flat mesh from slipping through. And the idea here is just going to have to bite over everything with that other crimp. But where I wanted to kick it up a notch is to see if I can actually put 2 silver silks through it. I haven't done this yet, and it's definitely not in the sample. So you guys might have to hold your breath a little bit to see if this is going to work, because I'm always trying to push the limits a little bit. And you know what? I need to squeeze everything together. It might not work. That's the risk we take. And it might, and it's going to be a huge payoff. So far, so good. I've stuffed everything into that little notch. I will also say that I'm going to take this out for a second. Do you guys see that little extra slit there? That's at the edge of the crimp, this part here. It'd be nice if my beading wire could fit right into that, you know? That way it just all like lays precisely and nothing would make me happier than for that to actually fit in correctly. So to this point, this looks really good. I'm gonna grab my wide nose pliers and I'm just gonna crimp this. And I think it worked. Oh my gosh, I was able to get 2 in there, you guys, which means more color is coming your way. Awesome. Okay, I'm so excited about this. I'm going to slide this all down. And now I get to just cut and measure my silver silk. Okay. Could definitely stagger these if you want to, keep them all the same length. Oh, this would even look great as a focal for like a necklace. If you did this and then added some chain, some like basic jewelry chain at the top, that would be really cool. So this opens up a world of possibilities and not to mention color combinations. All right, I'm just going to chop this off about right here. I just held it up to the strand of beaded, my beaded strand here, trying to find my words. And I'm basically going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to kind of undo that find a spot that's not going to be twisted that I can feed this through. Oh, but first, you know what? I need to make sure that there are no little wire fuzzies here at the ends. So I'm just going to go ahead and clean up my ends, get those off. And then I see one that I need to actually remove, but in the interest of moving this tutorial along, I'll go and string that through and see if I can get this out. I think it'll be all right. It's going to be inside that crimp anyway. All right, so I'm just going to push that up. And I suppose you could even do both wires at the same time. I just didn't construct it that way to begin with, so I'm not going to risk it. I do want to keep a little bit of a millimeter. And in fact, while we're here, let me go ahead and move to this step. This is just what we did earlier, except my extra trick was just to put in an extra strand of flat mesh. And lo and behold, we have a beautiful crimp. Okay, so here we are on step 5. We are just laying out the design and feeding it through the flat mesh once again. And we're at that point of forming a crimp after we kind of position this. I recommend leaving about 1 millimeter or so, maybe not even, maybe like 3 millimeters of extra beading wire. That way you have enough for everything to move around comfortably and fit into the crimp. So probably about right there. Okay, nice and smooth. Just gonna cut that off. I'm gonna gather my other silver silk and press that all together into a lovely little bundle. Okay, we went ahead and cut our silver silk. We weeded the ends. We're in good shape. And now all we do is just put on our crimp and clasp. So let's do that now. I'm gonna grab a crimp. I'm gonna look for that little notch so that I can put my beading wire into that. And it'll also help keep your logo's side face up. That way it's all consistent throughout your design. Okay. There we go. It is nice and fastened in there. I'm just going to grab it with my wide nose pliers. And before it shifts and moves, I'm just going to squeeze it a little bit to make sure everything's in there. And it looks like everything is packaged out quite nicely. So I'm just going to give it a good strong squeeze. Make sure that those side seams are nice and closed. And oh my gosh, you guys, I've got 2 colors of silver silk that are intertwined with each other with this beautiful color palette. And I am so excited about this design. So at this point, I can attach a clasp, which we should all applaud that I have one on hand, because I usually never do. But I'm at that point of where I just need to figure out if I want to add some baubles, and I can do that, or I could just leave it blank and just, have it as a simple design. But some folks, hey, more is more, and I support this. Okay, I'm just gonna string that right through, and boom. Now you want to talk about a quick gift for someone. This is the way to go. You can get a lot of silver silk and a lot of color into a very simple design, and just using easy construction methods to do so. Designs don't have to be complicated, but they do have to be beautiful. All right. So what do you guys think? Again, just leave a comment on YouTube. Let me know if you enjoyed this project. Give this video a big thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to the channel. Oh, got my little overlay there. But I'm glad I got to show this to you, and I'm glad that Danielle came up with this project. And it was just all around perfect. If you guys have any questions, you can leave an email for me at orders@silversilkonline.com. Make sure you sign up for the SilverSilk Silkies Facebook group. We are a thriving community of SilverSilk creatives, and I have just never seen more beautiful work from people that use silver silk. It's mind blowing, it's inspirational, and we're all there to kind of inspire and uplift each other and create stuff. That's what we're all here for. So, with that, I hope you have a great rest of the day wherever you are. Big hugs from here at Silver Silk. And I just want to thank you again for tuning in for this tutorial. And I will see you guys at the next one. Mwah. Good night. It's good night here, but wherever you are, good day to you.